Assalamu alaikum. Welcome on behalf of GNG and Peace. I am Nashwa in Islamabad, working for the GCA program, and this is Ali, my colleague, who will be co-facilitating the meeting with me today. This is our workshop 2, and we'll be, for the agenda, we'll be practicing the curriculum, module 1 of the curriculum, and then we're going to be learning how to use the tech tools. All the information that I'm sharing is in your all the information of the workshop 2 is in the educator guide from pages O to B, so you can just follow along in the educator guide, and hopefully today's meeting workshop will be more interactive than the one we had last time. So please all participate as much as you can. Okay, so before we begin, can we have a round of introductions again from all the educators? A brief introduction with your name and your location, please. Thank you. We can start with Huck Academy, like we did last time, and then we can move on. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and a good evening to all of you. My name is Freha. I represent Haq Academy. I teach ICT to the senior level at the school, and this is my second time with GCA, and I'm looking forward to a lot of fun activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Now can the educator from Carlton, Washburn, please introduce themselves?
Hi, this is Ed Seneschal again from Winnetka, Illinois, near Chicago. The city is very excited because the usual losing Chicago Cubs actually won a playoff game.
Thank you. And can Navida please introduce herself?
I'm Navida Das. I'm from Happy Palace School. I teach senior levels, and Happy Palace is in Rawalpindi. Thank you.
Thank you. And can we have Scarsdale introduce themselves, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's Megan and Marcy from Scarsdale Middle School, just outside New York City. Hi, Navita. Good to see everybody again. And we're excited for this professional development workshop.
Thank you. And George Washington Middle School. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Mayer, and I'm coming to you from Alexandria, Virginia. And I'm really excited to be connecting with all of you today. Thank you.
Okay. And Ali, if you could please introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Alikul and I live in Bidsha, the city of my strict point and peace poet Hazrat Shahidul Latif Betai, and I teach students 12 to 15. Thank you.
Thank you. And Derby, please introduce yourselves. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Bowler. I teach at Derby Academy, middle school, 8th grade, which is outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States, and I'm excited for another year of Global Nomads Group. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Nurzai, for joining us. Can you just quickly give a very brief introduction, and then we'll begin with the workshop. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Hi everyone. I hope it goes well because I had bad connection with this. It was turned off. Now, hi everybody. Hope everybody will be well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nurzai. Okay. So we'll begin with the workshop 2. We'll spend the next half an hour reviewing how to use the curriculum. So firstly, we'll go over the basic structure, and then we will practice leading activities in Module 1. Just. Sorry. Yes, so first we'll be, for half an hour, we'll be reviewing the curriculum, and then we'll be going over the basic structure, and we will practice leading activities in Module 1. So first of all, kindly please review the educator guide and the student workbooks. The educator guide is, of course, for the educators, and the student workbook should be hand printed and given to all the students who are participating in the GCA program. Since we are very environment friendly, please print double-sided, print on both like the front and the back of the page for the workbooks. And for each module, and now I'm going to go on to the module and how the module is set. Each module goes through a learn, act, reflect cycle. If you have reviewed the workshop pages, you'll see that we talk about the learn, act, reflect. So can any educator please tell us what they think about the learn, act, reflect cycle? Thank you.
Or maybe how you have applied it to your class.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi, this is Priya. I feel, is a part of students somehow, when they come to the classroom, they have a little bit of prior knowledge about the idea that we are trying to teach them or impart. So it's better to first find out how much do they know and what is their idea. Maybe if they have a few negative ideas, or maybe they're misinformed, what you can do is you can clear up the misconceptions that they have and give them something new and positive that they can take with them. And after learning, they can act on it, and then they can review and reflect and use it as a future reference site. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Priya. That's true. Most of the students have, they already have prior knowledge to what we do in the modules. They have already knowledge about that. And then in our modules, first we have a learning section in which we have a guiding question, which tells them what this module is about and what we hope that they would learn. And then eventually we move on to the act part, which is the activities, where we do activities such as the community lens or the Windows warm up. These activities help them understand what the question was and also learn more. And finally, we reflect on it by seeing the answers that our partners have, and also reflecting on the work that we have done ourselves. So that's the cycle. Each module has a learn, act, reflect cycle, and that's how we go through all 5 modules. So if there are any questions, we can have them right now. And if not, then Ali can do the screen share of the community lens. Thank you.
I am screen sharing now. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if they see 2 pages from the curriculum, and a thumbs down if you do not?
Okay.
Okay.
So, we're showing this community lens page to show you what the educator guide and the student worksheet looks like. For the educator guide, we have 2 green corners, one on the top left and one on the top bottom. This is the educator guide. This is specifically for the educators. And the table on top explains what the activity is. It tells you how much time it's going to take, what are the materials that are required for this specific lesson, such as the camera for community lens pictures, and then their learning goals. And in the end, we have a laptop with a world map. That's the logo for DND Connect. So that tells you that whenever you've completed the activity, please upload it on GNG. Also, there's the whole lesson introduction part. It's lesson plan instructions. I'm sure you'll go through it. The lesson intro tells you what you have to do with your students to make the lesson for them to understand it. And also there's a deepen the discussion box. This box is optional. You can use these questions if you want to make the module more, if you want your students to learn more out of it, you can use these questions. They're optional, but of course they're very interesting questions that will make them think more critically. Then there is a check for understanding box. It's a yellow box with a light bulb on it. This section is for you to reflect on your work after you've done, to make sure that everyone, all the students in your class, understand what you have just done, what the activities they have done. And lastly, there's a GNG Connect post, again, which I told you above. With the laptop with the world map is the logo for GNG Connect. After the activity has been done, please upload it on GNG Connect. And it usually tells you how many days, maybe 5 days, 10 days, depending on how many days before the IBC it should be uploaded. And the second page is a student worksheet. In your student workbooks, all the worksheets will be like this, the student worksheet book. And it's given direct questions, and it's got like spaces, boxes in which the students can just write down their answers or write down the questions that they have. And they also have a check for understanding and a GNG Connect box, which shows them that they should upload their questions and answers. So that's for the 7. And also, sorry, I forgot to mention, at the bottom of the page on the Educator guide, it says 7E, and on the student worksheet, it just says 7. So all the pages which are numbered with the alphabet E are the student worksheets. No, sorry, Educator guides. Ali, if I'm missing something, then please add it. And
I think that was pretty great, very clear. I would just say the checks for understanding, some people call them knowledge checks, some people call them exit tickets. They're just a quick way for you to assess or measure if your students have achieved the learning goal of the activity. And you're welcome to use them either by asking the question at the end of class out loud, or having students write in their answers, and you can check their books after the fact. So we added these components based on your feedback from last year to make the curriculum a bit easier to implement in the classroom. Any questions about the new components of the curriculum? Okay. If you have a question, of course, please unmute and speak up, or just chat in the sidebar.
Sorry, Ali, just 1 second. What do you Okay, sorry, Ali. I have no question.
Navita, do you have a question? No? Okay. No question is too small. We take all questions, all kinds. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the curriculum beyond just the cycle and the components. You have a scope and sequence of the curriculum on page Q of the Educator Guide. And this is kind of a roadmap or a guide for everything you're going to do during the year. I think it's very useful to help your students kind of have an understanding of everything they'll do in the program, or to share about the program with colleagues or parents or administration. It's a good overview. And I would love for one educator to use the scope and sequence to explain to us what is the structure of Module 1. Can you take us through the structure of Module 1, please? Thank you.
I'll give it a go. So we begin by having our students brainstorm what they do know about their partner country. Well, actually, I guess we begin with the Windows warm-up. and trying to understand that people see things differently. And then we move on to the KHW chart, where we brainstorm what we know about the partner community, and kind of maybe clear up some misperceptions, if there are any. And then we get going on the community lens, and trying to build a positive and representative, I guess, slideshow of what our community is like, and then we present it to our partners.
Thank you, Dave. That's an excellent overview of Module 1. Just going to share my screen again so everyone can see what the scope and sequence looks like. So as Dave mentioned, you'll start with learn activities to assess your students' knowledge and maybe correct any misperceptions. And you'll use that to act, in this case for Module 1, in the Community Lens activity, where you're using research and presentation skills to share more about your community. And that also feeds into the video conference. All of the modules will end with a reflect section. So when you do the video conference, you're not done. It's important that you then take time to reflect with your students to solidify the learning. And each module also has a guiding question. The program as a whole, as we know, has the bigger driving question of how do we as youth engage our communities in positive social change. But there's a guiding question as well to tell your students why we're doing this, why this is useful to them. Again, a good way to check in, especially after holidays or exams, and get everyone back on track. Any questions about the overview? I know this is review for a lot of you, but I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Okay. So now we're going to get hands-on, or we're going to practice. So in this next section, we are going to work our way through the first module, but we're going to do it in an interactive way, meaning that we are going to pretend to be a classroom of students, and different educators are going to have the chance to lead or demonstrate different activities. It's completely okay to use your educator guide to help you along. This is not a test or an exam. This is the time to practice and experiment with different techniques. So first, before you even start any activities, you have to introduce the program to your students and introduce them to your partner country. And I'm curious to hear from one or two educators, how would you prepare your students to meet their partners in another country? What do you need to do with your students to prepare them to meet their partners in another country? Let's hear from an educator who hasn't spoken yet. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's Megan from Scarsdale and Marcy. So in answer to your question, Allie, I think that what we'll plan to do this time and what we've done in the past is we first started actually after our last PD session by showing the kids in our classes the GNG video to introduce them to who global nomads are and what the goal of the program is. And that generated some interest in just doing the cultural exchange and the GCA. But then in terms of introducing our students to Pakistan, or last year it was to Jordan, we always start with asking the kids, as it says in the curriculum, you know, what do you know about, you know, our partner country, and we generate a list from there. And for our students, you know, it's often not very much other than what they've seen in the news or stereotypes. And so then we've often done kind of a web quest where we have the kids do some investigating into the history of the country, into some of, you know, the cultural highlights, population geography, all of those kinds of overview. And then depending on, we're hoping as we have our session with Navita to find out a little bit more about Happy Palace School, so that then we can also incorporate some of that information to introduce our students to our actual partner with Navita and the students at Happy Palace. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Megan. Some great ideas there. Sharing an overview video of G&G, and then diving into what students know or maybe don't know about the partner country. I really like the idea of having them going out and doing their own research, and also of you using your firsthand experience with your partner educator to learn more about their specific community. It's one thing to research about the whole country of Pakistan, which has many different kinds of people and kinds of land and cultures and languages, and another thing to learn specifically about your partner community. So using each other and maybe asking each other for resources before your first video conference so you can show your students a bit more. That's great. Anything else? Any other ideas about how you can help your students prepare for the program? Maybe something that's not in the curriculum? Thank you.
Hi, this is Freya again. We at Hack Academy, what we've done is we have distributed a sort of handout among the students that covers basic goals of GCA and talks a little bit about the partner school. Just bits and pieces so that they know, they have an idea of what they're getting into. And we have given them the weekend to go through it and given them the resources as the website that you have emailed me and a few things that we joined together with that. We've sent sort of like a handout to their homes so that the parents and the students would know what they're getting into and would have a lot of idea what basically is GCA and who is going to be their partner school and what they're going to learn throughout the 6 months or 7 months that they'll be doing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fariha. Norzai, did you have something to add? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My idea, I think, for the students how to show, at the first we're gonna introduce the G&G program, what we are doing here, or GCA, everything. Then we're gonna have a map there in the wall. We're gonna show where we have contact with, and we're gonna say about geography of countries and the people of countries, language and stuff. Then we're gonna have contact, like show contact. Thank you.
Thank you, Norzai and Fariha. So introducing the program, maybe through, like what Fariha said, a handout, a letter for parents and students with goals and activities, or verbally introducing, like Norzai said, and then showing a map and talking about geography. I think that's a great idea if your partner country is unfamiliar. I've also seen a lot of educators talk about the way that their partner country is portrayed in the news or in movies. Maybe you see a lot about your partner country in the news. I've had a lot of educators share that they've talked about stereotypes or media images before we even get started, so that students are already critically thinking about those issues. Great. So now that we've introduced our students to the program, we have arrived at our first Learn activity, which is the Windows warm-up. And I'd like us to pretend that we are a classroom, and we have already gone through the basic instructions of the activity. So our teacher has instructed us to look out the window and silently draw or write what we see. And now we have come back together as a group and are ready for a class discussion. I would love to have one educator now volunteer to demonstrate some kind of questions they would use in that class discussion to get their students to the next level of the activity. Does anyone want to demonstrate discussion questions for the Windows warm-up? Thank you.
Hi, yeah, I'm Mike again from Derby Academy, just outside of Boston. one thing I found to be pretty effective for me is we're lucky. I know this is sometimes a challenge for people to have. My classroom has a lot of windows and different ones that look in different directions on campus, which is nice. So one of the discussion questions I often ask after I just sort of give everyone a chance to talk about what they saw, and I just sort of note things that they've seen. One of the things I get at is I start to ask them the question of, well, how did you know that? So for instance, they'll tell me, oh, I see the science building or the science gallery. And I'll say, well, how did you know that? And they go, well, what do you mean? It's the science gallery. And so I said, okay, well, imagine I was here for the first time and I sat down and I drew out the window. Would I call it, do you see a sign that says science gallery out there? And they're, often they say, no, there's no sign that says science gallery. So I find that to be just the simple thing, like being able to identify the name of buildings when there are no actual names up there, as a good jump into getting them to talk about the fact that their past experiences inform their knowledge of the world they see. And from there, I can take the discussion to bigger places in terms of talking about maybe media and our partner country and views of the United States and Pakistan and the media, etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really like that you're using a simple question. How do you know this information?
I have to share, Ali.
Yeah, go ahead, Ali, please.
Actually, it was an interesting thing. Yesterday, I was in computer lab with my students, and I was asking about window activity, different perspectives. One student was on Google and he was looking the US education system. There was a picture. One dog was sitting on a picture of President Obama. He asked the question, sir, what is this? I say, if you have to ask, and you should ask with other student, what is he is doing? Why this dog is sitting on President Obama? So many students shared different things. One said the citizen protest against government. One said that some people who hate the president, they are showing this. So there are many different things, many different perspectives. So we have to change this, and the main purpose of Windows activity. What is the main purpose of Windows activity? Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Could you say the last sentence again? I didn't hear you. Something about the Windows activity?
Yes, by this way I told the student the main purpose of Windows activity, that actual thing is not what are you seeing, what are you watching. The main thing is that why this is being done. You have to investigate. Thank you.
Great. So Ali, the connection is a bit hard. So please type in if I got this wrong. But I think you were saying that you're encouraging your students to ask why they think what they do, and to ask more about what they see. Why do we know what we do? Where do we know it from? That's the point of the Windows activity. Did I get that right? Thank you. Ali, if I said anything incorrectly, please unmute and let me know or chat it in. But yes, both of you are using simple questions to get students to really take this activity to the next level. We like to use the Windows activity as a way to frame or a way to begin the whole program with this idea of learning how our past experience shapes our perspective, like Mike said. And we encourage you to use this simple activity, but to scaffold or adapt it to your students' levels. I'll turn it over to Nashwa now to talk about the KHW chart. And this time we're all going to pretend to be in a class, so we'll be speaking live as if we are participating in a class discussion instead of saying, oh, I would do this, I would do that. Thank you.
Ali, I think Navita just wants to just ask how she did the Windows warm-up, and then I'll move to the KHW.
पिछले साल हमारा तजर्बा ये रहा कि जब बच्चों से विंडोज़ वार्म अप की एक्टिविटी करवाई गई, तो उनको जब हम लोग मतलब छत पे जो उनका रूम था क्लासरूम, वहाँ से हमने उनको जब कहा कि आप इस खिड़की से बाहर देखें और जो कुछ आपको नजर आता है, तो उन्होंने बहुत दूर दूर की चीजें थी वो भी लिख दी थी। जैसे एक दरख्त तो बहुत दूर है और उस पर साथ ये भी लिखा हुआ था उन्होंने कि उस पर एक चिड़िया ही बैठी हुई है और अमरूद का दरख्त है जो हमें नहीं नजर आ रहा था लेकिन उनको नजर आ रहा था। बड़ी फनी फनी बातें उन बच्चों ने लिखी हुई थी।
Navita is saying that last year when she did the Windows warm-up activity, they did it on the roof. There's a classroom on the roof, so it's got windows on all sides. And she said that they were looking at things that were very far away as well, like trees that were very very far away, and the kids wrote like trees have birds sitting on them, and things that were very far, and even they couldn't see that Navita couldn't see. So she said that that gives a lot of room to discuss when kids have all these ideas that they write about. Okay, Ali, would you like to say something on that, or should I?
Thank you, Navita. Thank you for sharing. I'm curious what discussion questions you used with your students you said they had many ideas and many observations. What did you say to them next after they shared that? Thank you.
कैसे पता लगा कि आया वो दरख्त है या कोई और चीज है, कोई और दरख्त भी हो सकता है। तो बच्चों ने कहा कि हमारी इमेजिनेशन हमने थोड़ी सी जो है इसमें इस्तेमाल कर दी। तो थोड़ी सी ये जो है ना अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से बच्चे हटा देते हैं।
So Navita is saying that when we asked the students that how can you say it's a tree, like how do you know it's a tree, or maybe it's a different kind of plant, how can you specify what it is? So the kids said that we used our imagination, and Navita's view is that kids move it a little bit out of perspectives, but they use their own imagination and create ideas for the Windows warm-up. Thank you.
निश्वा, हेलो निश्वा।
Yes, yes.
जो कुछ मैं कहना चाह रहा था, क्या आप लोग समझ गए हैं या मैं उसे उर्दू में रिपीट करूं? मुझे लग रहा है कि काफी दोस्तों ने उसे समझा नहीं।
हाँ जी, हाँ नहीं, आपने जो बात की थी वो समझ ली। जो अली ने बात की थी ना,
जी जी, वही विंडोज एक्टिविटी की बात।
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल वो समझ आ गई थी। आप कह रहे थे कि बच्चों के बहुत डिफरेंट किस्म के पर्सपेक्टिव। और अली, अगर हम में से किसी को समझ नहीं आई तो आप बेशक ये चैट में भी लिख लें, इधर राइट साइड पे चैट बॉक्स है, उसमें भी आप लिख सकते हैं। थैंक यू। Okay, so I'll move on to the know how wish chart. That's also a part of our module 1. So can an educator please volunteer to be, can an educator volunteer for running through the KHW chart with me? You can just raise your hand and then we'll move on.
Volunteer, and then Nashwa will give you more instructions.
Yes. I need a volunteer first.
No how chart first?
No how wish chart. Someone can volunteer. Okay, Kelly, great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'll ask the question. So Kelly, let's pretend that you are leading your classroom and you're doing the KH Know How Wish Chart activity, and we are all your students, and your partner school is in Pakistan, and you have already helped your students brainstorm what they already know about education, geography, people, history and the government, and human rights in Pakistan, and where they get this information from. So now can you please start a class discussion to help us create complete questions for our partners about we wish to know about Pakistan. So the question is how can you help your class create complete questions that they will ask for the know how wish chart.
And
Thank
the
you.
rest of us are going to pretend to be Kelly's class. So when she asks a question, it's our job to answer pretending that we are her 13 and 14-year-old students.
All right, so I'm assuming I understood this correctly, but we've already done the brainstorming, so now we need to look at our chart and decide how we're going to create complete questions to ask at the video conference. So let's take a look at our chart, and remember that in a complete question, to maximize our use of time, we want to first answer the question ourselves so that we're also sharing about our community, but then frame the question so that our partner school can answer it as well. So could someone state something that they know about Pakistan, and then, or I'm sorry, could somebody come up with a question that they have about Pakistan, choose one, but answer it first about your own community. Thank you.
Oops, I think this. Can you hear us? All right. Hi, Kelly. So it's Megan and Marcy. So we're going to ask a question about religion. So in Scarsdale, many of us practice different religions, and my family is Jewish. I'm wondering what role religion plays both in school and within the community in Rawalpindi. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. You did an excellent job first answering the question about your own community, and second, asking a question that is open-ended and therefore will allow for discussion rather than just saying, what is your religion? Okay, you asked a more open-ended question that will give them a chance to elaborate. So good job. Does anyone else have a question?
Ms. Meyer, I have a question. I saw a lot of pictures on the news about Pakistan, and people's clothes, I don't know, they're kind of weird. They seem weird to me. I want to know why they wear what they do, but I don't want to be rude when I ask that question. Thanks.
So, Allie, it is perfectly acceptable to ask a question about clothing, but as you pointed out, you'll definitely want to make sure you do it in a respectful way. So perhaps you could first describe what you wear to school, and then ask students what do they wear to school, and that will give you an idea of the sort of clothing that they wear in Pakistan. Thank you.
Okay, so I might say, well, we have a dress code for school, so the boys have to wear pants and collared shirts, and the girls can wear dresses or pants. What do you wear to school? And do you get to choose what you wear?
That's an excellent example of a question, Allie. Thank you.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a complete question? Like to add in?
Or maybe if your students have brought up difficult topics before that you want to help the group practice. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Ali, do you have a question? I see that you're unmuted.
Yes, Ali, I have a question. Not question, but I have to say something to Mike. Yesterday, I read Mike's questions on GNG Connect. I think corruption, mismanagement, and these things are common in everywhere nowadays. And our students also understand these things because now they are global students. And so I think he has to ask something different, especially about our culture, our special days, and vacation and these things. I have some questions, inshallah, I will share, I will ask day after tomorrow or tomorrow. So I have to say this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Yes, okay, so I guess you can share your questions on Google Connect if they're concerning the KHW chart, and you can share them on Google Connect. And so thank you, Kelly, for giving us such good examples and helping students ask complete questions. Of course, you all have done this before, you've done GCA before, so it's just a reminder that complete questions are very important. Of course, you share the context of you share the context, and then you also share how personal information about the person who's asking the question. It makes a complete question, and it makes it very respectful and creates a very good dialogue for the IVC. Also, on page 5 of the Educator Guide, where the know-how wish chart is. In the Educator Guide, it says check for understanding. Why is it important to ask complete questions? We just answered that. And what is the advantage? The advantage is that it creates good dialogue for the IBC. It's page 6E. You'll see it. Ali, is that the page we're supposed to be looking for for the know-how wish check understanding?
Yes, and I think we have a good understanding of the activity, so unless there's any other points, maybe we can move forward.
Okay, so I'm just going to move forward now, and then we're going to discuss the tech tools that we use, the GNG tech tools that we're using for our classroom. So it's important to know how we use the tech tools to help students communicate with their partners. So first we're going to discuss how we moderate the dialogue in our classrooms and also online. And then after that, Ali will talk about DND Connect and about IVCs. So the first thing, you can move to page S of the Educator Guide. In this, you'll see that there's some basic information about how we moderate dialogues. I hope you all would have read it. Is there anything that you found that was different or something that's surprising that you did not know already about dialogue and about how we have dialogue with students? Thank you. And if my voice wasn't clear, we are on page S of the Educator Guide, so you can quickly have a look at that. Thank you.
I think that is those are some great tips for us to remember when we're moderating the dialogue, especially during the IVCs when it can be hard to get a flow of communication going between the students. So I particularly love that you added in the tips for asking open-ended questions and reminding the students during the IVCs and also on the GNG Connect to always, share their context when they're asking questions. I think sometimes that's especially hard in the live exchanges because young adolescents tend to want to just ask the question and then rush through it. So I think these are really great points for us to keep in mind while moderating the dialogue.
I just want to add also that eye contact and body posture matters a lot, especially for our middle school students. We work a lot with them because that seems to be most challenging, especially with the American students compared to a lot of the schools in other countries, in which I find that our middle school students tend to, after a couple minutes, look down, lay down. So we work a lot with eye contact, sitting up, being attentive listeners. and taking notes so they understand things and can ask clarifying questions.
Especially when it's 7 a.m. in the morning here for them. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Mercy, you're right. Asking open-ended questions is definitely something, is a good tip to keep in mind, because a lot of times during IVCs, I guess we're always trying to rush through and always trying to like make sure that we get everything in. So it's good that we remind students that there has to be an open-ended question and that it can be a dialogue which can carry on into an online discussion on GND Connect. Is there any other educator who would like to talk about any tip that they saw which was interesting or good that you haven't seen before? Thank you. Yes.
Oh, hi, Mike from Derby Academy again. Just reinforcing what some of my other educators said as well, which is body language. In particular, I find in cross-cultural dialogue, if more difficult or personal topic sort of comes up, my students are keenly aware of what's going on in the other room. So if someone like giggles in the side corner, they really notice that, and vice versa. We are trying to be more aware of how the signals we're sending, and it could be totally very middle school appropriate or middle-aged appropriate behavior, but it could be also very unrelated to what's actually being said at that time and then being translated. But students are definitely looking and watching each other for social cues, and so I think it's really important to go over with students how they look on camera while their peer and partner schools are speaking, and vice versa. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. You're right. That is a very good point. I'm sure all the students, especially since they're in middle school, they are looking at everyone and making sure that they know who's laughing and who's talking. And it's definitely important to pay attention because everyone's on projector screen and you can clearly see what everyone's doing. So that's totally important. That's a good tip. That during IVCs, it's very important that all the kids are attentively listening. One tip that I would like to say, which I learned, I saw this last year, and I just like to add in that there's a basic tip. It says facilitators should talk less than 25% of the time. And that was something that I learned last year while facilitating one of the IVCs. And I think that's a very good tip, because sometimes when you're facilitating, and I'm not an educator, I'm just a facilitator, but last year in some of the classes, while I was facilitating, I sometimes had to ask the students to make a complete question or to ask in a certain way. And I realized that I was talking a lot. So that helped me. I mean, this tip really is useful sometimes, because you need to know that you need to ask and then let the kids answer or let the students answer. So that was a very good tip. If there's any other educator who would like to add to that, if not, we can move forward.
Yeah. Hi, this is Dave in Illinois. I just wanted to add that particularly with the first IVCs, when the students are getting used to each other, I found it useful for them to have a question written down that they could refer to, because sometimes middle schoolers blank out and forget what they were going to say, and that just wastes time. So just to have something in front of them that they can refer to helped a lot at the beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely, it's very important to go in an IVC well prepared, so that the time that we have, an hour and 15 minutes, should be spent. You're right, like asking questions that we had already prepared previously. Okay, thank you, Dave. Can someone please share a question to have students think of or share new perspectives or views that have not been expressed before in the moderating dialogue? Sorry, Annie? Okay, wait, did you want to say something?
No, go ahead. I was wondering if maybe Nurzai or Ali could answer your question, since we just heard from some other educators. Thank you.
So I'll just share the question again. Can someone please share a question to help students think of or share new perspectives or views that have not been expressed in the class? Thank you.
Hi, it's Priya again. In my last experience with GNG, I noticed that sometimes when we do not cover a few things in the classroom, and because students are interacting and they have truckloads of questions and ideas to ask each other, sometimes they ask something totally out of blue. And I feel that the students handle it well because they know that they have to follow a certain set of rules and norms while they're communicating with other people. So we teach them before they go in for their IVC. So I feel that they handle it well. Thank you.
Sorry, Freya, I just didn't understand the middle part. There was some disturbance. You were saying that students pick up on prior information and then they answer questions. Sorry, if you could just repeat that.
Hi, I'll repeat what I said. I said that in my previous experience with GNG, I noticed that sometimes students do ask each other questions that are not part of the curriculum or they were not instructed about them earlier. But because the students know that they have to handle themselves in a certain way, and we do give them a set of rules or guidelines before they go in for their IVCs, so they mostly handle it okay. They handle them well and they're able to answer and satisfy the queries. Thank you.
Yes, that's true. A lot of times, after our questions are, some prepared questions are done, and when there's more discussion going on, I'm sure some students, due to prior knowledge or due to having researched about something, they're pretty good with coming up with good, complete questions, which of course makes the IVC dialogue very interesting. So thank you all for sharing your views about the tips that are for dialogue. We should just be aware that while we're moderating the dialogue, whether it's an IVC or whether it's in class, we should just be aware that if there's some perspectives that we are missing, we should make sure that those are addressed as well. Sometimes people will be talking about climate change, and we will talk about climate change and how it's impacting our community. And there are lots of times some shy kids might not say what they believe. It's always important to get answers out of them or get discussion out of them because these perspectives are very important as well. We want every student's ideas to be expressed. So, Annie, if there's anything you would like to add to this, otherwise we can move to DND Connect. Thank you.
Sure, maybe going off of your example, imagine we're talking about climate change and most of the group has the same opinion. What question might you ask to your students to help them think of a different opinion or to help students in the minority share their opinion? How can you help students share different perspectives on an issue you're discussing in class if maybe there's one majority opinion? Thank you.
Hi, it's Marcy Rothman from Scarsdale. I think the most important thing for kids to recognize today is that there always are perspectives, so not even just in this video conference, but in teaching history alone. We always bring out others' perspectives and not saying, well, this is what you believe or this is what I feel, but instead saying, how do others feel, and constantly broaching it from every perspective rather than say what the majority are feeling. Thank you.
Can you say the last sentence again, Marcy?
Rather than focusing what the majority feels, to just express different opinions rather than focusing on how people are feeling as a whole in the class, but instead to focus on the stories of others or other perspectives.
Wonderful. So saying, does anyone else have a different opinion on this issue? Or maybe has anyone else heard a different opinion on the news or from your family? Sometimes people are nervous to share their opinion if it's different than the majority. The only other thing I wanted to follow up on about this discussion, Marcy and Megan, you talked about using open-ended questions with your students. I wonder if an educator can share an example of an open-ended question compared to a closed question. Thank you.
I can go here. So oftentimes my students, again, I'm Mike from Derby Academy, just outside of Boston. Oftentimes my students are interested in, let's say, like sports. What kind of sports our peers in Pakistan play? So a sort of closed-ended way of asking that question would just be simply to say, what sports do you play? Here we play these sports. What sports do you play? But I often encourage them to ask questions talking about more the role sports play in their lives, what they mean and how much time they make up, and then to ask the question of how do sports play a role in your daily lives, and that's a little bit more of an open-ended question and gives them a chance to talk more about, I guess, their commitment to or passion about, in addition to just simply listing a couple of quick sports and moving on to the next question. Thank you.
Wonderful, Mike. So an open question has many different answers and doesn't have one right answer. A closed question might be a yes or no answer or simply a short answer. So we want to ask questions that don't have correct answers and that can go in many different directions. And Ali has brainstormed a list of issues that he wants to discuss with his students, like local elections and tensions between India and Pakistan, and also Pakistan and China's relationship. Ali, did you want to share any questions you might ask your students on these issues? Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Nowadays in Pakistan, everyone is talking about Silk Road between in China and Pakistan. Many people are think that it is an golden era, starting of a golden era in our history, and somehow thinking that it is a distraction for Pakistan because China is an emerging imperialist country. So they want to loot our resources. They are different perspectives. So I want to ask my students about these things because our students are nowadays global students. They are thinking and reading these things on internet and newspaper. Thank you.
Thank you. So asking students what they've read on the internet or heard from their families about these issues, because we often have a lot of stereotypes about different countries or events, and we want to talk about them to learn more. Okay. We're now going to spend the last 15 minutes talking about GNG Connect and wrapping up. So shifting our focus to where these dialogues will take place in GNG Connect and in video conferencing. Before I give you a demonstration of GNG Connect, is there anything that people want to learn specifically about GNG Connect? For example, how to change my profile or how to post in a forum. You can unmute or type it into the chat bar. Thank you.
अब बता दूं मैं अच्छा अब बता दूंगा तो मेरा नाम
कोई भी चीज़ जिसे हमने पोस्ट करनी, कोई भी नॉलेज या इंफॉर्मेशन, तो किस तरह पोस्ट करेंगे GNG पे?
Okay. Navita saying that she's already she's gone on the GNG Connect and she's changed her password, but now she just wants to ask that how can you post on GNG Connect? Thank you.
Great, how to post, a good question. I will show you that. If there's anything else, please chat it in the sidebar, and I'll add it in as I give you a demonstration. So I'm going to share my screen so you can all see GNG Connect. If you cannot see it, please unmute or type in to let me know. And you all should have a login to GNG Connect. Most of you have logged in, but a few of you have not. So I'll ask you to please make sure you do that in the next day or two. When you go to GNG Connect, you'll of course enter your username or your email. Your username is just your first and last name. And your password to begin with, I sent it to you. It's GNG or GNG123, but then we'll change it. Fariha, I see your question, and I'll get to it in a moment. Thank you. So when you first log into the site, you will see this page, which is called your dashboard. In the upper right, you will see your name and your picture if you added one. And if you click on that, you can access your profile and change your basic information there. You can also see your messaging section, where you can send messages to students and other teachers. It's a great way to remind them to complete their work. You can also, of course, message Nashwa and me. And you can also go to your preferences. And this is where you can change preferences about how many emails you get from the site. So for example, if you want to get more emails or less emails, you can go to messaging under user account and you'll see more there. I'm going to go back to the dashboard page. You'll see a few things on your dashboard. You'll see on the right online users, who is online right now. So Ali is online. If I want, I can send him a message. You'll also see what badges you have. So you and your students can get or win badges by completing activities on the site. So I got my PD Workshop 1 badge. You'll also see a calendar, and we will put your video conference dates on the calendar. And in the middle here, you'll see your courses. You have 2 courses as an educator. You have your professional development course, and you have your GCA course. I have more because I'm working on different programs, but you should just see GCA Educator Professional Development and Global Citizens in Action. Because you're educators, you'll see if there are new posts or activities submitted right on your dashboard page. So for example, I'm a teacher in the PD course. So when I click on my update, I will see where the new posts are. So you've all been very busy, so I have a lot of posts. Megan, you should have a badge for the first PD if you completed all of the steps, and I will show you that right now. So it's based on if you completed steps in the PD, not if you did this work, or completed steps on the platform, not if you did the workshop with us. Does that make sense? Okay. So once I click onto a course, I'm going to see all the information right there. So for example, in your PD course, you'll see your guide at the top, you'll see your introduction materials, and then you'll see one section for each workshop or module of the curriculum. So you will see different activities within each module or section. So for example, Workshop 1 has quizzes, your educator self-assessment, and your communications poll. It has materials for you to read, and it also has forums, like the educator introductions. So if I click into a forum like educator introductions, I can add a new discussion topic, or I can go into someone else's discussion and reply. It depends on the instructions in the activity. Because I am a teacher in this course, and you will all have the same ability in the GCA course, I can also delete Megan's post if it's inappropriate. So this is because we want to make sure that the platform is safe and appropriate for everyone. If you see a post from one of your students that is offensive or maybe includes some information that is not true, you can delete the post and then ask them to repost the information with something that is more appropriate. Let's pretend that I want to reply to Megan's introduction. I can click reply, and I can type my answer in. I can also, however, upload a photo or a video. This is if I have a link on the internet to a photo or a video. I can attach a file, and this is pretty cool. I can also record audio, video, or take a photo right from my laptop camera. So I'm here, I can take a picture and insert it. So that's a great way to not have to upload and download videos, etc. I can also even draw my response if I want to and submit it to Megan. So you have a lot of opportunities there, and I hope your students have fun with these features. For example, to go back to Fariha's question, I'm just going to go back to the PD. Fariha wanted to know if she has to post her KHW questions, should she start a new forum or ask them in response? So Fariha can go to the KHW chart, and she can either add a new discussion topic or post a reply if she wanted. Make sure you read the instructions here, share your list of questions. I would add a new discussion topic, Fariha, but there's no wrong answer in this case. But there's already a forum, it's up to you to add a topic. Fariha and Ali, does that answer your question? You can type in yes or no. I'm going to keep going though. Yes, your students can share their ideas on GNG Connect. Great, Fariha. So your students will have access to GCA. We still have to upload the information here because this is a bit new for us, but that will be done in the next week. So this is where all of your students can upload their assignments, and there will also be a general forum where, as Alipal said, you can have them share ideas or music or other things that are not explicitly or that are not direct answers to curriculum activities. Are there any questions about what I've shared so far? One really cool thing this year is that we also have GNG Connect available on Moodle, or sorry, on mobile. So I sent these instructions out to everybody, but there's a free mobile app called Moodle, M-O-O-D-L-E, that you can download if you have a smartphone. And then you can see your courses directly on your mobile phone. If you don't have very much computer access in your classroom, it's a great way to be creative with photo and video. You can simply take it from your phone and upload it directly to the site. Ali, please go ahead with your question. Thank you.
Ali, I have a question that we can make another community link or not, because GNG Connect is supporting just only 5 or 6 pictures, not more than it. What can we do? Thank you.
I couldn't hear you very well. Could you please type in your question? I'm sorry, the connection is not good.
Okay, I'm writing it.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. My fault. Does anyone else have other questions about GNG Connect or how to use it with your class? The other thing that I should share, please jump in if you do have a question, is that unlike Google+, you'll just see the answers from your partner school. So you don't have to worry about just posting in Derby's section or just posting in Hawk Academy's section. You'll all see the same activities, but you'll only see the posts from your partner school. That's a little different than last year. Any other questions about GNG Connect? Ali, I hope you can type in your question. Go ahead, Megan or Marcy.
I just downloaded the app while you were saying that. It's perfect. It looks awesome on the mobile site. It's easy to read, easy to use.
Thank you. Glad to hear. So, Ali, I see that your question is the Community Lens only accepts 5 to 6 pictures. I will check on that and get back to you. I don't know the answer right away. That might have been me. It might be the site. So I will email you the answer to that. Okay, I want to spend 2 minutes talking about video conferencing, although you're all experts, and then I'll give it to Nashwa to wrap up. So I just want to remind everyone of the importance of the dial-in period for video conferencing. This is a mandatory 30-minute period before your start time to make sure that you don't have any tech troubles during the actual video conference. You all did a great job of joining early today, but in the future for your students, please join 30 minutes early. And then I also want to emphasize that the educator role in video conferencing is to be a guide on the side. It's not a space for you to share your opinions, but it's a space for you to help your students express themselves. It's a space for student voices. You can also expect a proposed IVC schedule from Nashwa in the next few days. I believe we have everyone's calendars except for Bitsha. So I will follow up, Ali, if you can send me your calendar, then Nashwa can schedule your video conferences. So we'll share your schedule, and we'll also set up a time to do a tech test with your students. Ali, you can use either iPhone or Android to access the mobile app for Moodle. It's not available on a non-smartphone right now, but you can access it on the computer, of course. Megan, we do have a special software called Real Presence, which we will test with you for video conferences. It's a little bit stronger than Skype, but sometimes schools have problems with it, so if it doesn't work, we will use Skype as instead. So that's the point of testing. Nashwa, do you want to conclude us for the day? Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Ali. Okay, so thank you all for joining us today for the second workshop. Please prepare for workshop 3, and that's the workshop that you will have with your partner schools. I'm sure everyone knows who their partner schools are. And we were hoping if you could have this workshop by Thursday, which is 23rd of October. Sorry, Ali, is that 23rd or is that 24th? 23rd of October. So please kindly have this workshop 3 with your educators by the 23rd. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope to be in touch with all of you through email. And if there are any questions and concerns, please don't hesitate to email. So thank you all. And I guess we all can unmute and say bye-bye, unless there's something Ali wants to add.
Just want to say thank you for everyone. I'm really excited for this year. I neglected to mention that you can translate DND Connect into Urdu, Dari, or English. So that's on the top next to your profile. Sorry, thanks for the question, Norzai. And you can use the IVC schedule from Nashwa in the coming days as the basis for your work plan with your partner educator for workshop 3, which you then will submit to us on DND. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.